Welcome back to Be the Trader, everyone. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for taking some time to listen to me, whether you're on the show, on the podcast, or on YouTube. Right? If you're listening on the podcast, please subscribe, give the show a rating review. It really helps me get discovered by others. It's a good thank you too. I really appreciate that. And on YouTube, subscribe because I hope that you enjoy this. Now, one thing I want to talk about today is literally what has happened to me today. And that today is June 29th, 2020. And was trading this morning. Didn't think I was going to place a trade. In fact, I wrote in my journal before I started trading that I felt a little emotional where I felt more anxious today about I need to find something. And I think I felt that way because I didn't see anything. There was one play that if I were to take the trade, it would have worked really nicely, but it wasn't my setup. And I talked about it and I voiced it out loud and shared that, this is a setup that I would normally take if it wasn't day 2, day 3, right? And it didn't fit my criteria. But I watched it and I didn't place a trade. And I was proud about that. I watched it completely die out. In this case, I wanted to short it. And it went on without me. Then there was another setup I saw that I did have a plan for if it did X, Y, and Z. And it did what I was looking for. It was like an over-exhaustion kind of setup. At least that's what I thought it was. It was a stock that was up 3 days in a row and it looked like it was topping out. Had a huge rejection with big volume behind it. And then when it had a bounce, I was shorting. And what I want to get to is it ended up being a loss. I lost my 1R, which I was okay with. I sized it appropriately. And the feeling afterwards is what I want to talk about. For those traders who are trying to be more disciplined, maybe you're under PDT, maybe you're not. Maybe you just want to only trade your setup and it doesn't happen often. Or if it does happen, maybe it's once a day. Maybe it's once a week. Whatever it is, the frequency, if you're trying to have discipline, it's easy to have discipline when you win a trade and then you're like, well, there's no more trades for the day. Which if I would have won that trade, there was no more trades for me that day or today, right? Where I just would be done and be okay. I feel really good. But that's because I'm focused on profits and not the process. And today I'm reminding myself that I did really well. Like I follow my process. I only traded what fits my categories of trades, right? And it just so happened that it didn't work. And I felt that feeling immediately after I got out of that trade. I was a little aggravated. I was aggravated. And I immediately was even more aggravated because I knew there was no other way. There was no other trade where there was a possibility I could have made it back. And that is not a good way to think, right? And it's also, luckily, I closed down my computer or my software because I knew there was no other trade. And I knew that if I stood there, because I stood there for a little bit and I saw that trade, continue to spike. And I was like, well, maybe as soon as I said that, I was like, nah, I'm done. Because I knew that if I continue to watch a stock, I will find a reason to trade it. It's going to happen. I'm going to see something that's going to tug at me and say, maybe this will work. And the only reason that I'm thinking this way is because I took a loss. And losses are part of trading. It's something that is a topic that you can always talk about because every trader loses. But a lot of us don't think that, especially when we're new. We think good traders have high win percentages. Good traders don't lose often. They are constantly winning. In fact, look at Twitter, right? Look at Twitter. You see all these wins every day. And then you just think that it's the way it is, when it's really not. I have the benefit of talking to a lot of traders, and I know that they're not winning every day. I know for a fact. And even being green every week or every month, they have red times. It's what we do when we take that loss is what will separate us, me, from you, from other traders who are not disciplined. Because today, it's a win for me. It's a very good win for me because I only traded what I saw that was fitting my patterns. I skipped the trade that would have worked, right? It would have worked, but it wasn't my setup. That's a win. But now I track that because I'm tracking those setups. And if it does look like it could be a consistent trade, then I'll take it in the future. What I don't want to do is take that trade because I'm like, oh, it looks like it's going to work because it looks like my setup, but it's not really. Make money on that. And then I learn the wrong lesson because I'll do it again. Trust me, I'll do it again. And then I'll lose because if it's not consistent, then I'm just kind of like randomly trading. I'm gambling, right? On feel, which is not proper. At least in my point of view, it's not. So I'm happy that I passed on that first trade. And the second one, I'm very happy that I waited for the sign. I actually told myself before the market opened, it was like the third green day, it was gapping up. And I said, you know what? If this stock shows me exhaustion, which in my case, in this scenario, is it spiked, failed high a day, and had a huge drop with volume. That's important. And then it bounced. I wanted my entry. That was my plan before the market opened. Market opens, I followed the plan. It just didn't work. Took my loss. Gotta dust my hands off and move on. And moving on today means no trades because there's nothing for me. And what else does that mean? Ignore Twitter. What else does that mean? I'm not reaching out to people saying, hey, how was your day today? Like, it doesn't matter because all that matters is that I follow my process and that will keep me profitable moving forward. Because the way I look at it, and I'm reminding myself right now, is if I stick to my process, I will be profitable every month, every week. Maybe not every month, maybe not every week, right? Those are the wrong words, but I will be profitable in the long term. I've proven this already for myself, month after month after month, and now over a year. And so it's just, or almost a year. So now it's just like all I know is that if I stick to it, it will be successful. And with my setup, it doesn't happen every day. Sometimes it does. Actually, it has been lately. So I'm kind of spoiled, right? Since it's been happening every day, when it doesn't show up, and then it can make me get more FOMO, right? It could like, man, where's the opportunity? They were every day and now they're not. Well, I need to remind myself that the market changes, right? It changes. There's fast times, there's slow times, there's volatile times, there's not volatile times. Right now, we're in the huge volatile/volume market. Volume is ridiculous right now. Everything has 100 million volume every day. It's stupid, but it's awesome, right? There's a lot of opportunity. But days like today, where there was only one trade and it didn't work. Days like today, I need to remind myself that I need to take that trade next time because it is my setup and it is a high odds. And more times than not, it will work and I will get my 3-1. So I could be wrong on the next 2 times, but I got to continue to take it. And how do I know that? It's because I track that setup. And I also need to remind myself that tomorrow is a new day. It's completely fresh. I need to trade it like that. Like today never happened. But I will take today's lessons. In today's lessons, to me, the lessons are I'm disciplined. I stick to my plan. I stick to my setup. I stick to everything. That's going to carry on with me tomorrow. And that's a win. And how we celebrate our wins is important because in trading, we're an entrepreneur, right? That's what we are. We're like little businesses, right? You're not going to win every day. You're not. And if you only celebrate when you make profits, you're going to be looking for the wrong things. You're going to be trading for the wrong reasons. And if you're a real trader, you're going to be frustrated a lot. And you will not make it. I won't make it if I judge myself off of my wins and my losses. I will make it if I judge myself, did I stick to my process? And that's a topic that we can go into another day where we talk about specific of what a process is and why it's my process and so forth. But today I'm just really want to focus on, you know what? You did well, you traded well, let's move forward. And the way I do that is I close my software. So if you had a day like that, close your software. Get rid of it. You know when you're done. And you know it. And you know that feeling when you're like, oh, as soon as you think like that, close. Because you're not thinking properly. If you take a loss and you can't handle that, close. Maybe for you, you can only take one loss a day. And that's okay. I know you hear traders, and including myself, saying, you should be able to take a loss and move forward. You should. But we're not saying in a time frame. You should be able to take a loss and move forward. Means for you, it could mean take one loss, wait the next day, and you can move forward. Don't trade again. And yes, you might miss some other opportunities. You're going to. I'm missing an opportunity right now recording this episode because it is 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm missing opportunities. But there's always opportunities. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you have any questions, make sure to comment below. Let me know what you do to help yourself when you're feeling this exact same way, especially after you take a loss. And if you're listening on the podcast, subscribe, hit the review, and give me a nice little rating review if you did enjoy the show, because it really does help me. And again, thanks so much, guys, because without you all, I would not be here, and I appreciate the support. I really do, and I just love giving back as much as I can. So thanks again.